liberals, they're not liberals, they're socialists. You see what I'm saying? Like me, I consider myself a liberal in the classical sense. Like I look at it like free speech.
Yeah.
You know, not so much like the identity politics stuff that I see. So
I've seen it perverted, like you probably have too.
Yeah, they call it liberal. They call those liberal, like a liberal state or whatever. That's not liberal.
No.
And it's moving toward up north where I got where I'm from. You have the classic liberals. You have what the people call themselves conservatives, but in the South they wouldn't be conservatives. It'd be center left probably, or centrists.
And it's a shame because it's, I don't know, good, bad, or other. The labels anyway are put there to kind of make us fight with one another, divide us to begin with. That's why you're smart enough to go, well, what are the values here? Who's maintaining my values and principles?
Right.
And that can shift from party to party to label, you know, which it has done.
Even terms, like one political term to another, they change. Yeah.
I mean, I don't recognize liberals today. Things like having open borders, how does that even fit in with?
Yeah.
That doesn't. I don't know what that to me is communist. That to me is just like, I don't, you know, it's so off the rails. But yet, I have liberals.
It's not all of this.
Supposed liberals, you know, defending, trying to explain to me that that's what we need.
Well, I wouldn't call. I think myself politically, I'm probably center left, or maybe center, like kind of like in the central libertarian, central liberal. That's me.
Yeah.
What I would say, I'm a liberal, but I'm not. So far left that I look at Hillary Clinton and think she's a right winger. You know what I mean?
Indeed. So, but it must be rough for you right now because you're having a hard time. I mean, because of the polarizations. I mean, guys like you, I'm talking to other liberals who are like left centralist, right? That if you're not all the way left now, you're getting vilified.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm an alt-right guy compared to.
Yeah, they're calling you a racist and everything now.
Obviously, a Nazi sympathizer.
Exactly. You know, which is how are you dealing with that?
Well, see, the thing is get right to the truth of the matter. That even a lot of the people who are on the far left, they're not on board with all of the agenda. So I can probably find some common ground. And once I do, you start to see that it's not really a question of left and right.
Right.
It's a question of you have someone in the agenda who is trying to make everyone look at the world as a black and white type thing.
Right.
And so that now we're all going to start fighting with each other because either you're a social justice warrior or you're a neo-Nazi.
Right.
You can't be one or the other. You can't be somewhere in between. So I guess the answer to your question is just try to, like, if I run into that, kind of show them that we're probably a little more alike than you want to say we are. You know?
And how do you do that? Just through conversations?
Because you can always find common ground.
And what do you do? What do you do for work?
What do I do? I have two jobs. One of my jobs, I sell access hardware.
Okay.
My other job, I teach English to Chinese people.
Oh, cool. So. Very good. Very good. The influx of Chinese coming in here, do you teach it here or you teach it over there? You've done both?
I lived in China for 5 years. And now I'm, living, of course, in America. I teach it because I speak Chinese. It gives me an edge on.
Sure.
It's I'm in a nice spot where the school that I work for, there's no oversight in what I do, but they pay me well.
Very good.
And it's kind of like a niche position because I can use my Chinese ability to teach truly beginner students of English from the ground up to fluency.
And give me a general sense of how the Chinese people feel about us, and their political situation, our political situation, how we deal with. Give me just a general sense.
All right. Well, I mean, I lived here for 5 years. What I can tell you, I don't know if it's going to answer your question. Because the thing is like, when you're there, like, the whole frame of mind is different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's so different. It's very hard to answer your question because they're not necessarily thinking in those terms.
Yeah, they're a whole nother philosophy. But I grew up different. One, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been there. But from the people I've talked to out here, Chinese people and all that I've questioned, because they've had centuries of growing up in an authoritarian mindset. In other words, they always the authoritarian figures, whether the shoguns or the warlords, whatever. That individuality there is not something that is in their frame. They don't have that sense of individuality that we have. That's
partly accurate. That's the heart of the picture. Okay. What I found interesting is that they care more about the Chinese identity than they do about what people think of them individually. So, like, I'm going to say it in a very simple way, and it's a more complicated way I'm going to describe it. So don't misunderstand. It's a kind of a blanket thing, but hopefully we can kind of give you a glimpse that most Chinese people that I run into, if they are fat, you can tell them that they're fat and they're not going to be offended. But you tell them, you start criticizing the Chinese government, and they get deeply offended because they're looking at it as that they have a responsibility, like it's a reflection of them.
That's what I'm saying. That's part of it. They have they think more of a group identity.
That's true. I agree. China, I can't really say anything about Japan.
I think it's part of their culture too.
Yeah.
That the clans and the family traditions that go back thousands of years.
Sure.
You can follow your tree back there forever.
Right. And several of the Asian countries will say Japan, Korea, both North and South, mainland China, to a lesser degree, maybe Philippines, Mongolia, those countries. A lot of them are influenced by what you call in English Confucius. With Chinese word is Kongzi. It's based out of it's like their Bethlehem. Confucius Bethlehem is in a city called Qufu. It's in China, mainland China. Where, oddly enough, kind of as a little aside, about 40 kilometers away, there's another Bethlehem for the Taoist religion in Taiwan. They're really close to each other. They're like what we think of Christianity is like Jerusalem or Bethlehem. So those two very religious communities are very close to each other. And Japan, Korea, and those countries are really strongly influenced by Confucianism. Mainland China still is, but the CCP that try to kill Confucianism. They try to kill it. They want because it interfered with the communist philosophy.
Right.
He's got has got a question for me.
Oh, okay.
Hey, where's the common ground when a conservative disagrees with a Democrat, and all we hear are its name calling? How can you find common ground?
That's what we were discussing. And he brought that. He's a right of central. Like a classical liberal. But I'll let him explain.
He was saying when I walked up first, he's talked about the liberals want an open borders, and I kind of was taken aback because I'm a liberal, but I don't support this social justice BS. You know what I mean? I consider myself a liberal.
Yeah.
So
the real definition of a liberal isn't what they're saying it is.
Right. Well, I mean, it gets more
like a Thomas Jefferson liberal is like.
Yeah, I'm like more of a classical liberal.
But still, how are we going to find this common ground that you suggest we can find whenever a conservative tries to talk, we get shouted down?
You can't talk to someone who's got,
And I'm not trying to fight. I'm just being a realist. I live here. And I've been shouted down multiple times.
Oh no! So you're a conservative, or you've been?
I'm more to the right. I'm a libertarian. I don't like Republicans, and I especially don't like Democrats.
I think you and I would probably agree on a lot of stuff. I was saying to him, I'm a central left, maybe a libertarian leaning central left. I probably would have common ground. There's probably areas we disagree.
Well, the reason so many people are against the Democratic Party nowadays, they're communists.
No, he was just bringing that up, but he's being called a right-wing, altered, racist,
Nazi because
and he's a liberal.
Where do you teach?
Oh no, I'm not talking about in the academic setting.
You mentioned you were an academic. Where do you teach?
Yeah, he teaches.
I used to work in SL. I'm not like in a university setting. I teach kids Chinese SL. I teach kids Chinese kids English.
Where?
For a private school. I live in Georgia. So that's about as close to academia. I'm not into like a teaching.
But you spent time in China teaching there and all. That's what basically we're kind of. I was asking about how the Chinese felt, generally about us.
Yeah.
And all that.
They're taking advantage. Trump's got to stop.
Well, the government is. I want to find out how the people themselves feel.
Yeah, all the manufacturers.
And we know what the governments are doing. The governments are blatant about it. But, a lot of the people, like the people here on the street, don't believe what the TV tells them here. So that's why I get more information from people off the street.
Sure.
That's what I do with the news.
Part of the answer to your question is that it's sometimes difficult to get a real answer because if you're in China, and this is what I found in my first year there, especially when I was speaking English. When I started learning Chinese, I started talking to people in Chinese, it became clearer. But there are some cultural things and some customs that are thousands of years old that people make decisions based off of these traditions.
Right.
That they'll answer a question, but it's not going to make a lot of sense to us. Or maybe it's not going to sound like something we'd actually believe.
You know what I found out doing this out here? Is the Orientals have a sense of humor. They get this a lot more than a lot of Americans do on the left here. But I swear, it cracks me up how many Orientals, Chinese, come by and crack up at this. Because the idea that the Orientals keep their emotions close to their vest.
Depends on which country you're talking about.
Well, yeah, but that's probably true too.
It is true.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yes, very true.
But I have met even Chinese that just come by and they crack up at this. You can see that they'll check themselves, but their initial response is like, and I think that's maybe because they know this couldn't happen in China. You couldn't have this kind of a display against the government there or question the government. So when they see it, I think it kind of it's a shock to their system, and it comes out that, oh, look at that, and they laugh, and then they kind of catch themselves.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your conversation. It's great talking to you. Here's my get out of jail free card from Hillary Clinton. And
so, are you doing this for some type of profit?
Well, mostly for education. I'm doing what you're trying to do too. Find that common ground where we don't get so off the rails that it gets ugly.
I see all is this for money? You're doing all
this? Oh yeah, I got to keep this whole rig going. I want to expand them. I started out with just a sign on the back of my bike, and I keep on expanding. Eventually, I want to go ahead and get screens on here and have this be a completely enclosed mobile media wagon, so I can live stream straight to the streets. And then, do interviews out here. Today we're going to have David Ray Griffin at 2 o'clock. Come on out and speak to him. And people on the streets, because this, you're going to reach people out here the way you never could reach them any other way. Because people tend to get in their tunnels. If you're a liberal, you go to liberal sites. If you're a conservative, you go to conservative sites. And you very rarely, get exposed to the other side. Well, out here in the streets, it's open season. So by having this common ground on the streets, hopefully, hey, done.
Oh, brave! I wouldn't do this anymore. Good on you, though.
Doing it for 5 years, it's fine, man.
He is brave. I know, with these times, man.
Well, it's getting a little bit more contentious, but I've lived a long life. I've had a lot of people threaten me with a lot of things. I'm still standing.
Good work, though, man.
Well, thank you, sir. Here's a get out of jail free card. Go check out my YouTube channel. Subscribe.
The most frustrating thing about Hillary Clinton is that people who supported her, she would have been doing a lot of the same stuff that he does.
I don't know about that.
Well, see, the thing is she didn't change her position until the thing she was saying became popular. Like she changed her, like we'll say, take an issue, we'll say gay marriage. Before,
she's a windblower for sure.
Right. So like before it became popular, she was marriage is between a man and a woman.
Sure, she's the ultimate politician. She'll go whichever way the wind blows, and she thinks to get on the most votes.
She'll say something different in closed doors.
Absolutely, yeah. She's the ultimate politician. She is. That's why people saw through her. I mean, there's so many liberals I met that just didn't like this woman. I saw a dozen Bernie parades here. I didn't see one Hillary parade. So it's like, so it was all a phony facade populism that she had. Brother.
All right, I've taken enough to y'all time.
Oh, no, thank you for your time, man. It was great talking to you.